Eric Lopez here, your ESPN 1080 Insider at the Amway Center alongside Mike Tuck from Tuck and O'Neill. We're here inside where normally Stan Van Gundy addresses the media in the postgame. Well, today, Mike Tuck is going to address the media. He's going to address us with some questions. There's the Magic, of course, second half season underway. And the first question is, what's going to happen with the Magic here between now and the trade deadline?
Well, that's a million-dollar question. I feel awfully important here sitting in Stan Van Gundy's seat after the game. And not so many decisions that he'll have to make, but certainly decisions the Orlando Magic are going to have to make. A lot of rumors swirling around how they want to upgrade their roster. Obviously, Rich DeVos, the team itself, wants to give it one last go. In fact, they'd like to give it more than one last go. They'd like to bring in more talent and try to convince Dwight Howard to stay here. The problem I think the Magic are going to run into, they might look, they might explore, they might call every team in the league, but the problem is they just don't have a lot to give right now. And this isn't like a new problem. This is a problem that's been in existence for the Orlando Magic. So it's fine that they want Steve Nash, they want Monte Ellis. They can explore other trades to make, but I just don't think those are realistic options for them. Something the Magic could do is set themselves up for next year and try to maybe pursue one of those guys in the offseason or pursue a different trade in the offseason. So maybe a tweak to the roster right now, maybe move one of your smaller pieces to try to maybe improve the point guard's position, the backup point guard position, maybe just some more size adding to the roster, maybe that backup center spot, but I don't think a big deal is imminent for the Magic.
Of course, the big question, if the big deal is not imminent, Dwight Howard, is he going to stay a Magic? Will they trade him? Is he going to stay the whole year? What's the future of Dwight Howard here?
Well, I wish I had that answer. I'd imagine they'd love to keep him from Alex Martins to Rich DeVos. My feeling is that Otis Smith probably has the firmest grasp on the situation, and my guess is, I mean, you don't demand a trade unless you eventually want to be traded or you want to be somewhere else. That's not something you ask for if you're happy in your current situation. So I think Otis Smith is going to look at it as if I got to convince Alex Martins, I got to convince Rich DeVos that this is what's best for the franchise. It's going to hurt a lot, but I think that's the direction that he would like to go. Now, will he be allowed to? Don't know the answer to that.
Certainly that question still remains. Of course, the NBA, the other big question is, which NBA team right now in the league needs to make a move by the trade deadline to really move up in the standings? Give me a team that is really desperate for a move.
I'll give you a few teams. I think when you look in the Eastern Conference, Miami and Chicago have clearly separated themselves from the rest of the pack. I'd love to see a team like Philadelphia, a team like Indiana, go out and make a bold move. There are guys that are available, especially you look at the Boston Celtics with Ray Allen, with Rajon Rondo, who's been out there in the market, with Kevin Garnett in the last year of his deal. Even Paul Pierce has been rumored to be available. If you're a team like in Indiana or Philadelphia, why not swing some of your young pieces? You're building for what? You're not better than Miami. You may never be better than Miami as long as LeBron and Wade and Bosh are together. Why not swing for the fences and try to add some veteran pieces to your puzzle and make a run at it this year? I don't think Miami or Chicago is that much better that if you make the right move, if you're one of those teams, you could do some catching up. Out west, I think the West is Oklahoma City's to lose. But obviously the Lakers are the team you have to look at. Kobe Bryant's still looking for that 6th NBA championship. They aren't going to win one as they're currently constructed. They have Pau Gasol, they have Andrew Bynum. One of them needs to be involved in a trade to try to fill in some of the other holes on the roster.
Well, you mentioned those two names. A lot of big names been rumored. A lot of names going to be talked about being traded, being shipped out between now and the trade deadline. What's the player? Give me the name of the player that will be dealt by the trade deadline.
I am all but convinced Pau Gasol is gone. Pau Gasol will not finish out this year with the Lakers. It was almost inevitable once we saw the end of last season for LA and that playoff loss to Dallas. At that point, into the point where he was almost dealt for Chris Paul in the preseason to now, he will be moved somewhere for somebody. There are other guys that I think are definitely going to get moved. I look at a Michael Beasley who's becoming a restricted free agent after the year. Minnesota is going to find somebody to move him to. And I think there are a couple other guys, Chris Kaman in New Orleans. I think a sleeper guy that could get moved, and I won't be surprised a little bit, is Eric Gordon. I don't think the Hornets can afford to have David Stern to do the deal he did and then have Eric Gordon just walk on them after the year. I would look for them to move Eric Gordon some kind of deal to bring back some more talent, maybe some draft picks to New Orleans.
So you're predicting a very active trade deadline?
I don't think it'll be active, but I think we're going to see at least 4 or 5 pretty big names move around. I'm not sure it changes the championship picture. I think there are only a handful of teams, and the Lakers probably the only one I think that will make a move that we might say, wow, now they have a better chance to maybe win the Western Conference.
That's Mike Tuck. Check it out. They'll cover the NBA and more on Tuck and O'Neill weekdays on ESPN 1080 Orlando. I'm Eric Lopez, your ESPN 1080 insider.